via the Community Radio Plus app.
This is Southern FM.
88.3 Southern FM.
You're listening to Here and There with Nathan Reynolds, and I'm pleased to be joined in the studio by Cameron Towt, who has recently walked the length of the Yarra River from the Upper Yarra Reservoir out the other side of Warburton all the way down to Port Melbourne. It was a 160-kilometre, 6-day odyssey, all to raise money and awareness for Huntington's disease. Cam, welcome to Southern FM.
Thank you, Nathan. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. And did you walk here today, Cam?
No, I didn't. I live in Greensboro, so a little bit far to get down here on time.
But you've become used to walking lately. Tell me, what inspired this trek?
Yeah, well, for the people who may not know, Huntington's disease is a non-curable neurological disorder. It's a genetic disorder. It is usually diagnosed in people in their 40s, and my partner Kim, her mother was diagnosed, and a few years ago she thought that she might have it. She's now 46, and sure enough, went through the genetic testing, and in 2021 it was confirmed she was diagnosed, and it certainly changes your world. The way I could describe it is basically the air is squeezed out of your lungs.
Wow. Yeah. So tell us, I guess there must have been sort of suspicions and that fear of that diagnosis leading up to it. What's that like to live with, I guess, that unknowing and then the knowing?
Yeah. Look, good question, Nathan. You go through oscillations where you want to put the head in the sand and actually not know a lot, and then part of you actually wants to learn a lot and know everything. And we certainly oscillated through the years on that. Even Kim and her siblings, they made a bit of a pact not to be tested for quite some time until they all pretty much reached their late 30s or 40s. But the thing that prompted Kim to get tested is she was going through her depression, which is often a precursor to that was getting worse and worse, and she just felt something was wrong. And I guess I tried to sort of live with glass half full and brush it off, and come on, we'll just treat it as depression and move on. But really, I guess deep down there was that inconvenient truth that was staring us in the face, and when we were in lockdown, I think that was 2021, we had a video call with the genetic counsellor, and it was, again, all I could say was like getting all of your air squeezed out of your lungs, and you just spiral into a bit of helplessness for a while.
Because it is a hereditary disease, so her mum suffers with the disease. Tell us, so your partner now still has the caring responsibility or shares caring responsibility for the mum, and yet has to manage the disease herself. So that must be tough. Oh, yeah,
tremendously so. And she's so brave and upbeat. And she said the other week to me, "Oh, we're so lucky," and it amazed me, her attitude she's got. And I said, "Oh, how do you mean? Like you've been diagnosed with this?" She goes, "Well, I'm hearing about mothers who have breast cancer and they are only given a month to live." And her perspective is, at least I've got some time left. That the symptoms, like her mother is still alive, in a nursing home in Boort, but she's just turned 74, but Kim views it to say, I've got time still. And that's, remarkable attitude that she's got towards it.
Yeah, an incredible attitude. So the diagnosis comes, your world gets turned upside down, and then that somewhere motivates you to action, Cam. So what was it that decided, I have to do something now?
Yeah, well, I was wallowing in a bit of grief, to be honest, and I actually my position at AGL was made redundant 6 weeks later. So
that was a double whammy.
It was a double whammy. The cat got bitten by a snake, a tiger snake. Oh gosh! So that how it goes in three. So that all happened just before Christmas of 2021. But it wasn't until I picked up Neil Danaher's book. He's probably, I guess you have role models. He's my hero and role model, and I guess for many people that's the case. And I read his book when all was said and done. And that just snapped me into, all right, bugger this, think of something you can do. Because I guess you always think about things that are imposing you on your life. What can you do? And fortunately, I've got my health, and I started thinking, well, maybe I'd do a long walk somewhere. And initially, I was thinking, well, I could walk from Port Phillip Bay to up to Cobram, up to the border. That was sort of the initial plan. But during that planning, I actually tore a meniscus in my knee. So it wasn't until that got repaired, which was December gone, just before Christmas, that I got that operated on. And a few weeks later, Christmas Day, pretty much, that was my first training day for the Yarra River walk.
My goodness! So that was part rehab too for the operation, maybe, was it, or did that make it more difficult?
Oh no, it was part rehab.
Part rehab, yeah.
But I sort of, I was keen to go because I was waiting for that. Firstly, for that injury to heal.
So for people that probably don't know all that much about Huntington's, it's sort of been described as MND, which so the Neil Danaher connection there, MS, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's all kind of rolled into one. It seems to be that the symptoms are many and varied. Yeah,
definitely. It actually, you get curious about these things. It came from England. They've actually genetically tracked it back to a village in Suffolk in England.
Right.
And there was an early settler, the Hayes family, that came out in the early 1800s and settled in Tasmania. And all of the Australian cases are basically descendants of the Hay family. And that's why in Tasmania and Victoria in particular, there's so many cases of Huntington's relative to other parts of Australia.
Yeah, I did read that there's 8.4 out of every 100,000 people affected by Huntington's. So, and recently there was an awareness month, and the Flinders Street station was lit up blue.
That's right.
And Amy Park as well. So the association are doing well to sort of raise awareness of the condition, because at the moment there's no cure, is there?
No, there isn't. However, there's lots of progress in research, particularly in the US and in England, and because it's genetic, so it's a gene that actually presents itself and becomes active in your 40s. And then it releases a protein, and that protein attacks neurons in your brain.
Right.
And that's why it's a slowly progressing disease. But there's research being done, quite groundbreaking really, around gene editing. Also, drug development to slow progression, and also stem cell research. But one of the difficulties, I guess, and what sort of prompted me to walk, because it's, as you mentioned, the incidence rate isn't particularly high. It's localised in a lot of communities, yet the symptoms are so severe, and the genetic, it gets passed on. That really, these sorts of efforts are only, they need to be funded. People need, these researchers need to put a roof over their head and eat and sleep and all that sort of thing. Yes. So, that's what got me thinking about, well, put my energy into trying to help the researchers, these brilliant people around the world, crack into a cure, not only for Huntington's, but other neurological conditions.
And, perhaps there can be some benefits of research that might be done on other conditions like MND. Maybe some of that research rubs off into Huntington's as well, potentially.
No doubt. And even the great, we've got the Big Freeze.
The Big Freeze,
even the money into MMD. Hopefully there's knock-on effects to and breakthroughs to help reduce the efficacy of some of those other diseases. Yes.
So your walk raised over $11,000 for research, which was an amazing effort. So congratulations, and nearly 100 donors got behind you. And we'll come, and I want to know about the walk and hear all about that. So let's play a song and we'll come back and we'll chat more about the walk. And your daughter's selected a few songs for us today.
Yeah, I had Madeline and Archer. I said to them that, Nathan, you'd let us pick a few songs. So, they were on having a look last night. So
Awesome. Well, let's hear one from Fleetwood Mac. It's called The Chain.
Listen to the wind blow. Bayside City Council is proud to support Southern FM. We work around the clock to help make Bayside the special place we all know and love. From maintaining local roads, parks and footpaths, supporting older residents, providing our wonderful library service and taking care of our 17 kilometres of beautiful foreshore, we serve our community every day. Get in touch to ask a question, request a service or provide feedback. Visit bayside.vic.gov.au or call 9599 4444.
Southern FM sponsor.
Imagine your life if you couldn't see and also couldn't hear anything. Incredibly, deaf blindness now affects over 288,000 Aussies and costs the community $7 billion a year. I'm Duncan Armstrong. I'm proudly supporting Able Australia because they're helping many Australians living with deaf blindness. You can help too by visiting ableaustralia.org.au or calling 1300 225 369. That's 1300 225 369.
I've got a hot mic and a comfy chair. There's nowhere else you'll find me on a Tuesday morning from 6 till 8. It's the Open Mic with Brandon Demura, where we get you fired up for the day with the news of the week, special guests and plenty of laughs. There's nothing that would be left untouched from Bayside or abroad. I've also saved a seat for you, so grab your porridge and stay by the wireless. Tuesday morning from 6 till 8.
88.3 Southern FM.
You're listening to Here and There with Nathan Reynolds, and in the studio is Cam Towt, who's walked 160 kilometres over 6 days from the Upper Yarra Reservoir down to Port Melbourne to raise money for Huntington's disease. And Cam, tell us a little bit about the planning that went into this walk.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, it started on Christmas Day, and I just recovering from knee surgery, and I went for a 3K walk just down the road. I was staying up at Yarrawonga at my mum's, and everyone got terribly excited, saying it was too soon, and I shouldn't be walking and all that, because I had my I hadn't had my stitches out even at that point. Anyway, so that's where it started, and just built up progressively from there. By that stage, I'd had a notion of how the walk could go and break it into 30-kilometre legs, roughly. Just really ramped up the training each weekend, and I guess deal with discomfort a bit too. That's part of the training as well.
Because what were the tracks like that you were walking on? So the day one is from the reservoir to Warburton, and are you able to follow the river there, or you're on the road a bit as well? Or?
Yeah. So there's sort of a couple of considerations. There's you want to obviously walk as close to the river as you can, but you can't naturally break into private property.
Well, yes. And there's a lot of it private property along there.
Yeah, there is not so much in the Warburton Leg, but around Hillsville, Yarra Glen, certainly.
There would be.
So there was a mix of fire tracks, mix of bitumen roads and verges of bitumen roads. So Woods Point Road from Reefton down to Warburton, I know fairly well.
Yes.
There's the rail trail, the Warburton Rail Trail that you walk along.
That's great, isn't it? Yeah,
it's a nice track. But it's varied, and but one of the things, and people who walk a lot of distance know the softer the track, so gravel and grass and that sort of thing is a lot better on your feet than bitumen.
Yeah, right, okay.
Yeah, or concrete. So
that's how those ultra marathon runners. I remember the guy in the gumboots. Was it Cliff Young? How did he do that? Run 1,000 kilometres in gumboots on bitumen roads? The mind boggles, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
So you've planned your route and off you go, and do you get the chance to stop and talk to people along the way about what you're doing?
Well, not really, and I'll explain why. They're actually day one, which was the walk from Upper Yarra Reservoir down to Warburton. I was mainly, apart from a couple of fire trails, walking down Woods Point Road.
Right.
And all I was concerned with there, it's quite a windy road, was making myself visible to oncoming traffic.
Yeah.
So I had the Yarra River beside me, and the Yarra River up there is only probably 15 feet wide.
Yeah, and not particularly deep in parts either, particularly through Warburton. You can pretty much walk across it there on stepping stones. Yeah,
you can.
Yeah.
It's like a creek, and one of the things that I enjoyed about the walk is you could see how other creeks were feeding it, and the Yarra would just slowly grow in width as you went along.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Like McMahon's Creek, Starvation Creek particularly. And that was a joy in the walk as well, because you felt, even though it'd been walked and explored, you felt like an explorer yourself. You were seeing things that you wouldn't see from a car.
Yeah.
Or that you wouldn't appreciate necessarily. You just sort of drive 80 kilometres past it.
And also at walking pace, you notice different things too.
You do.
Yeah.
And I didn't listen to any music.
No.
I wanted to just enjoy nature, but also listen out for cars that are oncoming, especially around bends.
Yes.
And you may laugh at this, but also kangaroos and wallabies.
Oh, okay.
I did a lot of my training in Warrandyte State Park.
Yeah.
And I found on the single trail I would have like a wallaby or a kangaroo jumping towards me. And they don't have very good vision.
Right, okay.
And they could be hopping along the same trail as you, coming the opposite way.
Yeah. And then get a fright too.
I got a fright. I got a fright, but what I'd have to do is almost do star jumps on the spot so they could see you.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and then they would veer away, they'd be within 5 metres of careering into you.
Yeah.
And so that was something I learned in training. Yeah.
My goodness.
And hearing rustling in shrubs and bushes beside you, especially when you're training sort of through the summer into early autumn, that was a bit unnerving.
A snake type thing?
Possibly.
Yeah.
But I never sighted a snake, which I was I'm sure they would have been around, but I didn't sight any.
They're pretty good at keeping away from you, really.
Yeah.
And any swooping or any concerns from the Maggies?
No, not that I can remember. No, not magpies. More kangaroos and wallabies jumping out towards you.
Yeah. And what sort of support did you have? A support crew? Did you have the the van going slowly behind you with the indicator on?
No, I wish no. But that would have been too tempting to just jump in it and go to the next town. But
right.
No. What I had is so Kim, she's still able to drive. So she was my safety person. Although we had a bit of a miss on day one, but she turned out of the Upper Yarra Dam or reservoir, and she started heading towards Marysville.
Other way.
We had this safety word, a giraffe. If I was in trouble, I'd just text a giraffe or something like that.
Yeah.
And she was up in Marysville. I got to the first sort of meeting point, which was it's called Little Peninsula Bend, and it's where part of the Yarra River where you can it's got stepping stones across it. You can actually hop
across
there. It's where they blasted through part of the Yarra River as part of the gold expedition.
Gold, that's right. Often, what is it, Reefton up around there.
That's right, McMahon's Creek.
Gold
they were
mining.
mining. A lot of gold through there. Anyway, we were meant to meet there. Didn't happen. There was no phone reception as well. That's something I didn't plan for. So basically between Upper Yarra Reservoir and Warburton, you either had no coverage or at best one cell. So I was tramping on then to East Warburton Hall, and finally we caught up.
Yeah,
and,
so day one almost, not disaster, but
I was more worried about Kim where she was. I thought, oh God, She said, I nearly drove to Marysville, and then I realised I was going the wrong way and turned around. So anyway, all good.
Very good. Well, that sounds like day one. Let's choose. We'll play another song chosen by your daughter. This one is called "Golden Hour" by JVKE.
Yeah, it's my son's favourite song.
Oh, your son's this one. So, and this is the Rule remix.
It was just two lovers Sitting in the car, listening to Blonde, falling for each other. Pink and orange skies, feeling super childish, no Donald Glover. Missed call from my mother, like where you at tonight, got no alibi. I was all alone with the love of my life. She's got glitter for skin, my radiant beam in the night. I don't need no light to see you shine. It's your golden hour. Oh, you slow down time in your golden hour. We were only getting better. Driving in a circle, a whirlpool, going round forever. Or could I be so lucky nobody has loved me without all the pressure of making tiny errors? Cause we just laugh it off, still having a ball. I don't wanna go home to the rest of my life. You know nothing compares to the shattering feeling I get. Oh, and you're not right there, no. I was all alone with the love of my life. She's got glitter for skin, radiant beam in the night. Oh, I don't need no light to see you shine. It's your golden hour. Oh, you slow down time in your
JVKE and Golden Hour. And Cam, so you've made it now. We're talking to Cam Towt, who walked the length of the Yarra River to raise funds for Huntington's disease research, and over $11,000 to date. Cam, you've made it into Warburton, end of day one. How are you feeling at that point?
Keen to get the shoes off and limping around a little bit. And one of the things I found through training, and it just happens after walking a long way, your feet blow up a fair bit. They're red raw, and also you get a lot of heat rash up your leg.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just a matter of trying to cool all that area down, but also keep on the move.
Mm-hmm.
Like you think that sitting down or lying down would be what you'd want to do. No, it's actually. I found in training important to keep moving,
right?
Even if it is slow.
Yeah, and then by the end of day one, have you made decisions about what shoes that you're going to buy and wear? Are you feeling that you've made some good decisions there? Or?
Yeah, initially I did. When I was training, I was just going, I'll just wear a normal pair of socks and some runners, and but you quickly find out that investing in the right shoes and investing in the right socks in particular is so important, and makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
So the shoes that you run in aren't the best for you to walk in. So invested in a pair of Merrill hiking runners, and then woolen and bamboo socks.
Oh, okay.
And they make a huge difference.
Right.
I didn't get one blister on the on the walk.
Not one blister. That's incredible.
Or not even in training actually.
Yeah.
Due to that.
You put that down to the socks and the footwear.
Yeah. So
so anyone who's thinking about doing your Oxfam trail walker or that sort of thing, invest in the right gear.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
You see marathon runners actually, and they're very particular about what they wear, and they to the point where they even cut out little holes in their singlet top to avoid the nipple rash. So all that sort of stuff, the chafing.
That's right.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah, even from wearing like your backpack when you're walking.
Yes.
That can rub on your shoulders and your collarbone, and so that can be as red raw as well. So you learn these things. That's part of the training, conditioning yourself and understanding what's going on with your equipment.
Yeah. And so day 2 is Warburton to Coldstream. Is that
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
And
So
that would have been pretty picturesque, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was parts of it that were quite boring.
And then, really?
Yeah, and then parts of it were quite picturesque. So certainly, so one of the things I mentioned earlier is there's a lot of private land that the Yarra River flows through, particularly from Wirialek right up to Yarra Glen. So, and then the roads along there, they're a fair way away from the Yarra River. So I decided to walk along the Warburton Trail to a place called Killara, which or Seville East, and then cut my way up to Coldstream that way. So, along the Warburton Trail, really nice, picturesque. There wasn't, surprisingly, it was Easter time, so there wasn't many walkers. Weren't many walkers out there.
Okay. A few cyclists dinging their bells and
a few, but not too many. Not too many. So that was. It felt like I was walking through a lot of paddocks along a trail.
Okay. A few cows around. And,
there's a lot of that's right. A lot of rich farming land.
Yeah, it is very rich, very fertile.
It is.
Area.
It's beautiful farmland there. But then looking back, probably the best view was behind me, which is looking back towards the Yarra Ranges, and that was
Mount Donabuang and
absolutely
and that sort of thing.
it's
beautiful.
Beautiful scenery, and particularly. When you see the clouds rolling over the mountains there, and it's mesmerising in many ways. You could actually take an armchair, a chair out there and watch it for hours.
Yeah. Maybe something to do later down the track. There's a little, isn't there a little caravan park it's on the river there, somewhere around there, and it always looks beautiful. I drive past it and I go, that looks like a nice place to spend a few days.
Absolutely,
yeah. And you're noticing at this point the Yarra just gradually sort of increasing in size as you come in through the Yarra Valley.
Yeah, look, I guess many listeners, and you mentioned yourself, Nathan. You've been to Warburton. It's the Yarra's beautiful through there. You can actually walk across it. I think it probably at a maximum gets up to your waist in terms of depth, but it's quite fast flowing.
Yeah, it is actually.
But again, it's not as wide as it is when it is in Melbourne. So you get more of the same. But unfortunately, I think with the farming and the clearing of vegetation, the Yarra looked a bit choked up in spots along. Heading sort of towards Wirialek and there. So I think there's been a lot of clearing and for the farming.
Yeah.
But yes, gradually,
and does that create sort of sediment runoff, or what do you think that's happening?
A little
there?
bit. You just get more weeds.
More weeds
growing around the river, and also it's not as fast flowing because you're not getting the elevation change as you would from reef.
It's not coming out of the hills now.
Yeah, correct.
It's on the flats.
It's on the flats. It's just meandering its way to Hillsville. So that's what I noticed there. But it is gradually getting wider. You've got Wirialek Creek, Dixon's Creek,
Dixon's Creek,
Watts River as well, flowing into it. So by the time you sort of see it again around Yering, it's considerably wider.
And he's stopping for a glass of wine anywhere along the way there, Cam?
No, there was no glass of wine. No, I had my routine, probably similar to anyone doing long distance things. I had a banana, which I'd have after I'd walk 7Ks.
Yes.
Then a muesli bar once I'd hit 15 kilometres.
Okay.
A Gatorade once I hit about 20 kilometres. And then another banana again at 25 kilometres. So I had my routine.
That was,
worked out. It sounds silly, but it gives you a psychological comfort, and also breaks each day down into manageable chunks. So I'd look at my phone and I go, okay, I'm 3 kilometres away from having a banana.
Yeah. And are the kids calling in and going, "How you going, Dad?" and all this?
No, not really. No, they're
on the PlayStation. What are you talking about?
No, they're just, I don't know what they're doing. They're looking at screens. And, but I did spend the time, talking to family and friends along the way. I didn't listen to music, but would ring people up, or they'd ring me and just chat away.
Yeah.
So that helped pass the time.
Pass the time. So how many hours are you walking a day?
Oh, so, I was averaging a bit over 5 kilometres an hour. So it was anywhere between sort of 5 to 6 hours.
5 to 6 hours,
yeah. Roughly.
Yeah.
So I was covering sort of 25 to 30K a day. But after day 2, I was quite sore. I was lying down in the grass. I remember, just stretching and was doing that for 15 minutes just, because I wasn't ready to stand up. I was thinking, at that point you're sort of going, have I bitten off too much here?
You found the stamina to keep going, but we'll play another song and we'll hear about as you're kind of coming through town. This one is called "Pray for Me," The Weeknd and Kendrick Lamar.
I fight the world, I fight you, I fight myself, I fight God, just tell me how many burdens left. I fight pain and hurricanes, today I wept. I'm trying to fight back tears, flood on my doorsteps. Life we live in hell, puddles of blood in the street, shooters on top of the building, government aid ain't relief. Earthquake, the body drop, the ground breaks, the poor run with smoke lungs and scarred face. Who need a hero? You need a hero, look in the mirror, there go your hero. Who on the front lines at ground zero? My heart don't skip a beat even when hard times bumps the needle. Mass destruction and mass corruption, the souls of suffering men clutching on deaf ears again, rapture is coming. It's all prophecy, and if I gotta be sacrificed for the greater good, then that's what it gotta be.
Pray for me, take my pain for me, save my soul for me, 'cause I'm alone to see. If I'm gon' die for you, if I'm gon' kill for you, then I spill this blood for you. Hey, 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 who gon' pray for me? Take my pain for me, save my soul for me, 'cause I'm alone to see. If I'm gon' die for you, if I'm gon' kill for you, then I spill this blood for you. Hey. Just in case my fate come, I live by my own law. I live by my own law. I live by my own. Just in case my fate come, I live by my own law. I live by my own law. I live by my own.
On FM, online, and via the Community Radio Plus app.
This is Southern FM.
88.3 Southern FM.
You're listening to Here and There with Nathan Reynolds on your radio until 2 p.m. today, and in the studio is Cam Towt talking about his 160-kilometre trek along the Yarra River to raise funds for Huntington's disease research, and very successfully raised over $11,000. Cam, and the music quite obviously been chosen by the kids there too, so it's good that we're covering all the generations here today. Tell us, so we've walked into Coldstream now. You've got through the first 2 days. Day 3, the weather's closing in.
Yeah, that's right. If people can remember, so I performed the walk over the Easter period, and on the end of day 2, I looked at the forecast, and 30 millimetres of rain forecast for the next day, and I thought, oh goodness, I'm going to be walking, into the eastern part of Warrandyte State Park, steep fire trails. So I was thinking, I might have to change my plans here a bit. And anyway, woke up for day 3, and it seemed okay, the forecast. So cracked into it, and got out to Mount Lofty State Park, Mount Lofty, which is on the edge of where Wonga Park is. So sort of where Yering and Wonga Park meet. And checked in the forecast again, and I could see, a lot of rain off sort of around Bendigo starting to close in.
Right.
And at that point, I was hitting probably a technically difficult part of the track. Lots of, rocks, single track, slow going at the best of times. So I decided to, take it on, and I really had to scamper through that section a bit, pick up the pace a bit, and try and beat the weather. So had to focus, unfortunately, less on the scenic side of the Yarra River, and just work out the easiest way to get to the next point, which was Jumping Creek Reserve.
Mm-hmm. And so, are we in town yet, or are we still sort of on the outskirts of Melbourne?
Yeah, I'd say outskirts. We're into the Warrandyte State Park, so we're walking fire tracks that are, it's quite steep terrain through there, the back of Wonga Park. So you're going up and down a lot of gravel, single trail, rocky type of country. A lot of single track right near the river. And for those of you who are interested in seeing the Yarra probably at its prettiest, I'd say that Wonga Park section to Warrandyte is the best. Is the best part of it. Just beautiful rapids. The river looks really healthy because of the vegetation's been preserved around it.
Is that because it's a state park there, I guess?
I'd say so, but it's also the terrain's quite steep, so the river's really flowing now. It's really thundering along.
Okay,
Yeah, so you can see why it's popular with kayakers and canoe.
I'd had my one and only kayaking experience there, and I got sideways to the water, and I was up against a rock, and that was the first and last time of kayaking for me. That was enough rapids. Yeah,
yeah, for sure. No, it's beautiful anyway.
Yeah, lovely, and so that's well worth it. Is that a popular walking track on weekends and so forth through there, or is it a bit unknown?
Probably a little bit unknown, but for listeners, if you fancy a bit of a day trip, I'd recommend parking the car at Jumping Creek Reserve and heading either towards Warburton or out the other way back towards Wonga Park. Even if you go for a couple of kilometres, you'll see the Yarra, arguably I'd say at its best. Yeah.
And then so day 3, and so are you camping, or what's your accommodation? What are you doing there? Between the days?
I wasn't laying a tent on my back. No. So I mentioned earlier I live in Greensborough, so we're actually I was able to use home as a base and travel in and out. But we stayed in Warburton. We stayed at Oscars. It was great spot. So we didn't. I made sure I had a nice place to go to at night.
A warm bath, I guess.
And, warm shower at least.
Shower, yeah.
So no, it wasn't as hardcore as that, as carrying a tent on my back and.
That would be extreme, wouldn't it?
Oh, well, for me, yes.
Yeah. Or for a lot of people, although people do that overland track that goes all the way to Canberra. And so you're basically hiking through the high country for a month. It's about a month, and that to me that sounds pretty extreme. You know, people like to do the Cradle Mountain walk in Tassie, and I think that's maybe 3 or 4 days. But then, yeah,
that's next level again. Yeah,
that's next
sure.
level. So are you working up to that one, Cam, or?
Oh, look, it's I'm not here to set any records for walking or anything like that. I think it's picking off something that is challenging, but also you're not, you're not putting yourself at risk at the same time. So maybe it'd be interesting. It'd be good to do, but a lot more planning needs to go into it, and a lot more training to be honest, as well.
Yeah. So you've done day 3, you're into Wonga Park, and day 4 now you must be starting to kind of walk through the suburbs now and see the Yarra in a different light maybe.
Yeah, well, day 4, I was fortunate enough, my brother joined me.
Okay.
So that was good to have some company, and we were at Jumping Creek Reserve and did the intro, for for day 4, just filming it, and He was ready to go and he charged off, and I thought, oh goodness, he's here to set quite a pace, and I had to slow him down a bit, saying, hey, just pull it back a bit. But he walked with me to Warrandyte, and we met some other family members. They were having breakfast at the I think it's called the Stonehouse Cafe or something.
Okay.
Yeah. And walked in there, and that was the first time I'd really seen a lot of people in one room for 4 days.
Yeah, that must have been a bit of a shock.
It was. Yeah. It was sort of. I was quite taken by surprise, actually.
Okay.
And it was because you'd been walking, for three and a bit days by yourself with your own company, and not listening to music, just listening to the sounds of nature and your own feet on the gravel. Walking into a sea of noise in a cafe was quite a jarring experience in many ways. And then a few of the kids and my brother, we walked along, the riverfront there at Warburton. Warrandyte, and a lot of people, a lot of families and people drinking coffees and walking dogs and that sort of thing. And that was the real sort of moment where, registered, okay, we're in suburbia now. The rural part of the Yarra River walk is behind me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then how do you get, I guess, do you go then past Eltham and or where does the sort of the track take you?
Yeah, so again, you sort of, what I did is went around Pound Bend.
Yes.
Near the Pound Bend Tunnel. Mm-hmm. And then, the river again, it's closed off with private property. So I had to walk, along the Warrandyte Templestowe Road, and then pick up the Mullen Trail. Mm-hmm. And then pick up the Yarra River again.
Pick it up again.
And then to Westerfolds Park.
Westerfolds Park. Okay. Yeah. And then it starts to get it's quite big around there. That's a big bridge you got to go. I'm just thinking, that road, I can't remember the name of that road.
Fitzsimmons Lane.
Fitzsimmons Lane, and that bridge, that's quite a big bridge there over the Yarra. So
yeah, the Yarra's starting to get a little bit wider again. Mm-hmm. There's some good rapids to be seen at Westerfolds Park, and even at Finns Reserve just a little bit further down.
And then, so day 5, Westerfolds Park to Dights Falls or somewhere?
Day 5, the rain was hammering now.
The
30 mil of rain that was forecast was finally here.
Yeah.
I think that was Easter Sunday or something like that. Mm-hmm. But and I was dressed like a fisherman. So
really?
I was top to tail in waterproofs.
Mm-hmm.
I should have carried an umbrella, but I didn't.
Yeah.
It was just, there was no one out there because there's no one silly enough to be out there. No cyclists or anything, and which was probably a blessing in many ways. And it was just trudging along the trail in rain till it rained on and off pretty much until I got down to near Ivanhoe. And Kew.
Yeah, right.
So that was a different experience again. But that's all part of it. You're putting yourself out in the elements, and again, fairly straightforward type of walk. Although you see things, you think what it's like, but you see little historical relics like at Banyule there, which is just north of Heidelberg. There was an old farm and farm sheds and cattle pen and all that.
Not
sort of
something
thing.
you'd expect to see in the city.
No, not at all. And even Yarra Flats there near Ivanhoe.
Yeah.
There you see round bales, so hay bales for cattle.
Yeah.
Baled up. So there must be still some people
Yeah.
cutting grass and selling hay. Of course, you see, Arthur Street and some of the artists that painted the Yarra back over 100 years ago. There's at Yarra Flats. There's signage for those. So that was great to sort of see some of that history and also see what the Yarra used to look like before we've tampered with it.
Yeah, well, that's right. We've rerouted it and we've done all sorts of things with it. Yeah. And then also, I mean, maybe that weather closing in and walking through the weather, it's a bit more palatable maybe because it's day 5. There's only one day to go. You're perhaps fortunate that it wasn't pelting rain for 6 days. That would have been a different experience altogether.
Very much so, yeah.
So then day 6 arrives. It's the final day. The finish line's in sight. How are you feeling at that stage?
Yeah, at that stage, you see, I think the first thing is you know you're nearly done when you come up Yarra Bend and you come up the hill there off the Yarra Boulevard and you see the view of the city.
Yes.
And once you see that, you go, gee, it's a bit surreal. It sort of hits you. You go, hang on, I've nearly finished this thing. Or so you think, but I'll get to that.
Okay.
Day 6, I left myself a shorter distance to finish deliberately because I thought by then I'd be a bit sick of walking. But day 6 was fairly straightforward. The weather was good, very comfortable. It was a matter of just moving your way through sort of Abbotsford and Hawthorn and down around Richmond and through. But as I walked through there, I actually felt a bit of sadness, and it wasn't. It was for how industry has contaminated the Yarra and how we have rerouted it, and it became what was absolutely beautiful up at Wonga Park. It became just a slow brown, slowly moving river that didn't have a lot of aesthetics about it.
And that's right. I mean, it's known as the Dirty River, isn't it? In fact, we'll play a song later called Dirty River. It's an ode to the river. That's the river that we're most used to seeing. I've got you took a video of yourself on the last day, Cam. I'm just going to play it because I think it was it must have been an emotional moment as you're coming towards the finish line. So let's just play this. Let's see if I can. Sorry, I'll try and get this working. No, it's not. It's not behaving. Let's see if we can get it to. All right. That's not behaving. Perhaps if you could remember what that feeling was like and tell us a little bit about the emotions of getting to the end.
Yeah, it's the end was the Westgate Park, pretty much underneath the Westgate Bridge. That's as far, I wanted to go a bit further, but I couldn't get into the shipping container areas. Look, it's you've had 6 days of walking 25 to 30k, so you're feeling a bit tired. But also, I think the gravity of achieving something like that hits you. But at the same time, you think my mind went to how people who are living with these neurological conditions feel there's no relief for them. And that they're just bravely going about their lives in the best way they know how, and that suddenly dawned. It dawned on me, and that was what was top of mind, and that's why I sort of filmed myself coming into Westgate Park there. And why I actually had to stop the video a bit, because I could feel myself getting emotional. And even sitting here talking to you, Nathan, it's doing a little walk along the river to raise a little bit of money. It's nothing, absolutely nothing, compared to what these brave people have to live through. If there's more of these sorts of things that can just turn $11,000 into $100,000 into $1 million, then that's more money for the researchers to try and get their breakthroughs. And even if it's not a cure, even if it's alleviating symptoms, that is something for those people, their families and their friends to celebrate.
So if people would like to donate, Cam, where can they go?
Yeah, so it's Huntingtons, Victoria. That's probably probably the best place. So it's huntingtonsvic.org.au.
And there's a donate page on that website. And so, please, whatever within your means that you can make a contribution to this research to, find a cure to Huntington's. Ultimately, please consider. And Cam, this is just the start of things for you. What's next?
Yeah, so what's next? I said to Kim, I'd love to walk the Murray River, and she said, "No way, you're not doing that." I've still got it in it's still in the bucket list, Nathan.
Yeah,
I think
that would be a month or so, wouldn't it? That'd be maybe even
it's 100 days off.
100 days.
Yeah, I'll have to ask for 100 days off work.
100 days off work. That's long service leave. Yeah,
it is. Probably the next walk next year. I'd like to do a lap of Lake Eildon.
Okay,
I think that'd be a nice walk. But the other thing that is only in exploration stage at the moment is a social enterprise. Again, that I'm looking to sort of get set up into next year. I'll reveal more about that later. But it's all about thinking, how can you take something like walking and raising money for these causes and scale it. And that's what's top of mind at the moment.
And I think, with the digital platforms and technology, it is scalable, more scalable than what it might have been years ago when we were doing, MS readathons and other things.
Definitely,
yeah.
Well, I was saying to my son, how do you think we can get more likes and views on the content? And he goes, "Dad, you need more content."
More content.
So that's a 9-year. So my 9-year-old is teaching me about social media and what I need to do.
Don't worry, my 9-year-old has a YouTube channel.
So he's my social media.
It's amazing, person. The kids, isn't it? They're just born with it. They just know what to do.
Yep.
In fact, Noah said to me the other day, just yesterday, he's playing something, Nintendo or something, in the car, and goes, "Dad, I'm hotspotting off your phone," and I didn't even know. And they just know, don't they?
Exactly.
So to find out more, the website huntingtonsvic.org.au. There's a lot of resources on there as well. If you're interested in finding out more about the condition, find out ways you can support. You can sign up to the newsletter, and you can get involved in the broader initiatives of Huntingtons Vic, which around lighting up the Amy Park and Flinders Street Blue, and there's different awareness things. Looks like there's a Move for HD event coming up. I'm just looking at their website now. Must be dancing for HD, and there's also some merch you can do and purchase as well. So lots of ways that you can support. But Cam, getting out there and walking 6 days along the Yarra River, massive effort. Congratulations.
Thanks, Nathan. And appreciate you inviting me in today.
My pleasure. And so we will finish with a song. It's a song about the Yarra. It's called Dirty River by Michael Waugh.
Here's a backpacker feeling homesick, waking up on St Kilda Beach. There was a big night out at the SB, but there are bagels on Ackland Street. There's a tram rattling into the city, there's a jogger running round the town, there's a gutter that I spilled in once, when I was a younger man. From Commission Flats in Richmond to Paran where the money starts, there's a dirty river running through her heart. On the Belgrave lawn there are business suits blowing out onto Flinders Street. There's a coffee brewing in Carlton, pulling beers down at the retreat. There's a deal going down in Braybrook. There's a dealer making killings at crap. There's a primary school that my son went to in the middle of Clifton Hill. From the Ranges down to Williamstown, from the bay to where it starts, there's a dirty river running through her heart. They're lining up for Suitors, drunk on Brunswick Street. There's a busker at the Burke Street and more the crowding round a marked up ditch. There's a vigil for Eurydice down at Prince's Park. There's a dirty river running through her heart. They are praying at St. Paul's Cathedral, at a mosque at a noble park. There's a scream rising out of the MCG where the AFL faithful are. Past the weary face of weary and Anzacs marching through. There's a party out in Templestowe where I fell in love with you. From the treaty made by Batman for the beautiful Birrarumba, there's a dirty river running through her heart. Through Coronation Country, Yarra is running still. My home stands on Wurundjeri land, and I know it always will. Though we've been far from Melbourne, wherever we are, there's a dirty river running through our hearts. There's a dirty river running through her heart.
Bayside City Council is proud to support Southern FM.